In this lesson, we're going to look at some CSS properties that let us control the position of block elements within the page. First, let's take a look at the page we're going to work with. I've got a file in the Section 5 layout folder called Position Sample. So let's open it up in the browser first. And we can see, once again, I've got some colored backgrounds set up so that we can easily see the boundaries of the elements we're working with. And I've got 3 paragraphs with a little special message here at the bottom. Now let's open this up in our text editor too so we can see the code. Down here I've got each one of the blocks we see on the page. Each one contains a heading and a paragraph. And then below those I've got that little special message in its own block by itself. All of those are contained inside of another div which has an ID of parent block. And up here in the Styles tab, I've already got some styles started out for us. The first one removes the margins and paddings from the body, H1 and P tags so that we can clearly see the boundaries of where everything ends. The parent block has just a height set of 500 pixels, so it stretches down the page, and of course that background color of pink. And the block class rule is applied to each one of our div blocks here. This one sets the width, the float, margin, and background color of each one of those smaller blocks. Notice that the width and the margin are set with percentages. So actually these 3 columns will redistribute themselves if we have a different size browser. And each one of the blocks will expand or shrink as needed. Now right now each one of these blocks is in their default position, meaning that they're shown in the browser window at the current location based on the content order and the width and margin settings from the CSS styles. We can move any of these blocks around, but first we need to set a position property which tells the browser to move that specific piece. The second block has a specific ID on it, so let's move that one. I'll go up into the Style tag, and let's make a rule using the ID as a selector. That'll be hashtag block2, and of course the braces for the properties and values. Now the property we need to set to move the block is called position, and there are a few different values for it, so we'll go through each one. The first position value we'll try is relative. Now, like the other position values, it doesn't actually move the block, but it tells the browser how it will move. With relative set, our item will be moved relative to its current location in the browser. To actually move the block, we can use the top, bottom, left, and right properties. So for our example, I'll use the top property first. Its value is just a measure of how much to move. And like the other layout controls, we can use any measurement we want. For our example, I'll set this to 50 pixels. Let's save that change. And we'll go over and refresh our browser page. And now you can see that the second block has moved down from the top by 50 pixels. We can use any combination of the movement properties we need. Let me go in and add a left value. And this time I'll set it to 80 pixels. We'll save that. And refresh our browser page. And you can see, again, block 2 has been pushed over, this time from the left border by a value of 80 pixels. Notice it's even overlapping the next block. Now the other elements are not affected at all, only the one with the position change set on it. Also notice that the original position has a space with its width and height left over, so any design you create using this property will need to take that into consideration as well. Now the next position value we can try is absolute. It lets you set the position relative to the closest position parent. Let's try that out on the special message block. It's currently falling right at the end of all of the other blocks, and it has an ID of special message. So let's set up a style rule for it next. I'll use hashtag special message. And the first thing I'll set is the position property and the value of absolute. Once again, the position itself is controlled by our top, bottom, left, and right properties, just like before. This time I'll use left 20 pixels, and then I'll set bottom to 100 pixels. Let's save that change. We'll go back out to the browser and refresh, and you can see that the special message has moved from its original location all the way down here to the bottom. And if we look closely, we can see 20 pixels from the left-hand side and 100 pixels from the bottom. So right now it's actually being measured from the extents of the whole page. Since none of its parent objects has a position, it's being measured from the document body. So that's why we're seeing it in the location it is right now. Now, as I said earlier, all of our blocks are sitting inside of this div parent block here, including the special message one. So what we can do is we can set a position on the parent block. I've already got a style rule for it, so let's just go up in here, and first I'll add the position property. And we'll set it to relative. Now remember, if we don't set any of the movement properties, our parent block won't move anywhere, but it does have a position setting on it now. So let's save, and we'll go out to our browser page and refresh. And now you can see that our special message block is being measured relative to the parent block instead of the page itself. If I reduce the height of the page, of course we get a scroll bar, and you can see that it holds its position as we move the page around. Using absolute, you can position any block, and when this is used in combination with margins and padding, you can have your elements appear exactly where you want them in the browser window. Because of its exact positioning inside any other element, it's definitely the most popular value for web designers to use. Now the last value for the position property is fixed, and it's probably the most interesting. Let's try it here using the special message again. I'll go over to our style rule and I'll simply change absolute to fixed. With this value, the element is actually fixed to the browser window. It has the same movement properties, and I'm going to leave them the same as we had for the last time. So I'll just save that change, and we'll go back out to the browser and refresh. Now once again, the message position is being set relative to the browser window. But this time, if I reduce the size of the page, you can see that it moves up. And as soon as it gets small enough to have a scroll bar, you'll notice one really important thing. This time as I scroll, the message doesn't move with the rest of the content. It's actually staying fixed to that spot in the browser window, no matter what. Oftentimes you'll see this used for a menu that floats with the page as the page is scrolled, or it's sometimes used for a feedback or contact form. Well, now that we have some tools to lay out our page, in the next lesson we can work on our website project again.